Welcome back to Propology 101, and today we're going to be doing study notes, and we're going to be doing study notes on the E11. Actually, we're going to be doing study notes on an episode I promised that I really couldn't come up with enough information to make an episode, so we're going to do a two-part study notes. First thing we're going to do is talk about a few things that we missed on the ESB Stunt E-11, and then we're going to talk about the weird E-11s that I found running around Bespin during Empire Strikes Back. So first up, what did we miss on the E-11 Stunt? Well, there's probably a few things we missed that we'll probably figure out later on, whether they warrant another episode of study notes or not. We don't know. The first thing I would like to talk about is this butt cap. This butt cap is completely flat and smooth on the ESB stunts, and I think that has to do something with the casting process. Whether these were resin and poured from this area, or if it's just easier to cast it with that off, or that was a plug and they sanded that whole section off and flat. I don't know, but there's no D-ring, and the little raised area for the D-ring to pass through, they're gone. It's just flat there. The other thing is, I said it had 6 T-rails. The T-rails are right here. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the reason why I said 6 is because all E11s with T-rails pretty much always have 6, except for the Empire Strikes Back Stunt. It has 7. And what they did was they filled in from this point here on back with another T-rail. This little greebly bit, that's an actual sterling piece. And they filled in with a T-rail from then on back. Now, traditionally on all other, and even the blank firing E11s in Empire Strikes Back and all of the E11s in A New Hope, this whole row is always kept open with no T-rails. Only one E11, and that's the E11 Stunt. They add a 7th T-rail right here. Oh, before we leave it, one other thing. The Empire Strikes Back E11 Stunt was in Return of the Jedi. Now, I'm not sure if it's when the Emperor shows up to Death Star or when it's Darth Vader it shows up in the Death Star, but there are some stormtroopers standing, holding their E11s against their white armor, and you can see that greebly in front of the scope, and you can see that greebly behind the scope. Against the white, it's very easy to see. Also, they're in the ground battle on Endor, and one of the easiest places to see that is when Chewie picks up a stormtrooper and throws him on top of another stormtrooper, and the stormtrooper that gets a stormtrooper landed on him, he has an E11 and has a perfect shot of the greeblies here and there, and a few other details that let you know that that is an E11 stunt from Empire Strikes Back being used in Return of the Jedi. Now, let's get on to the weirdness. The weirdness has a lot to do with this part of the E11, or the Sterling submachine gun, really is what it is. Now, what this part is, and the reason why this submachine gun has such a weird muzzle shape, is the British government doesn't like to make anything they don't have to make. And since this is an infantry weapon, it needed a bayonet. So they just designed this to accept the current serving during World War II bayonet. Now, traditionally, the bayonet would slide over the muzzle and lock underneath the muzzle, and the handle would be hanging underneath the barrel of the gun. On the Sterling submachine gun, it locks in sideways, and the handle of the bayonet is along here. Matter of fact, that's what this piece right here is. That's the locking lug for the bayonet. The bayonet would slide back and click into this piece. And the part that goes around the muzzle and secures the bayonet to the muzzle goes around this piece right here. Now, the weird E11. In 2 different shots in the movie, you can see an E11 that has this removed. At first, I thought it was maybe a miscast of an E11, like a stunt style that this piece was miscast on. That's not really the case. I looked closer, and those were real metal Sterlings. And a matter of fact, there's 2 scenes where these E11s are visible. One scene, it's kitted out like a regular E11. It's got T-rails on it, but it's missing that bayonet hoop, or where the bayonet hoop would go. It's missing that part. And it's also got some weird other things going on. And that's in the carbon freezing chamber. And it looks like a blank firing. It's not dressed up like an ESB stunt. It's dressed up like a hero. And it also has a silver shiny bolt in it, kind of like a New Hope Sand Trooper E-11 has. Like they just put a piece of shiny pipe in there and that's now your bolt. That's why I don't believe these were set up as blank firings. These are something else. Anyway, that is the anomaly E-11s. I don't know what they are or anything beyond. They're just weird. I thought maybe they were deactivated ones that showed up. Maybe they were shooting scenes everywhere, someplace else, and they had all the E-11s consumed over here, maybe 2-unit shooting, and they needed to fill in the ranks, so they just grabbed what they could and showed up on set as quickly as possible. That's a possibility. We just don't know. But thanks for following along on this episode of Study Notes. Join us next time when we pull out another prop, tear it down, and see what it's made of.